Hello and welcome to Football is Nice, the sensational podcast with me, Russell Brand, Gareth Roy, Jenny Mayfin, and a loyal army of listeners enjoying this content of football cultural chat, analysis, comedy and occasional plunges into the depths. Are you all right there, Gareth, today?
Yeah, I'm getting ready for you to talk about your predictions.
Yes, you feel underprepared. That's part of what you've said.
First of all, yeah, I do feel underprepared.
But also you feel under pressure because every week during the podcast Football is Nice, as well as responding to your reviews and responding to football coverage and just telling you how we feel, we do predictions like a lot of shows do, where we predict what the results will be. Now, the thing is that Gareth has been the top of the leaderboard. Jen's been the bottom of the leaderboard, although she's doing very well for someone who didn't participate in the game for the first couple of weeks. Did you, Jen?
Yeah, I didn't participate.
That's
I didn't get asked.
We didn't want you involved, Jen, is the truth.
Yep.
And Gareth roared into an early lead, but now I think a certain plucky little guy from Essex, rough around the edges but stars in his eyes, is beginning to show his true colours, and those colours are claret and blue.
It's unbelievable. I used to approach the results just from the point of view of the teams I liked and didn't like, you know, how I wanted the league to go.
Yeah.
Now it's about Brand and his predictions. And as soon as the weekend went by and you got two on the nose.
Two absolutely correct results. That's astonishing. I see that I got Palace Wolves 100% correct.
Yeah.
I see that I got West Ham Liverpool, which was the most.
That's 3-2. That's a hell of a prediction.
That's to correctly predict, because I saw that actually Noel Gallagher predicted City would win 2-0, and like TalkSport did a video about it. And I go, oh, that's pretty cool. That Noel, and then when I saw that was the result, of course, I was pretty impressed. And then, like, I was watching the game, you know, and we scored. Then they equalised. Then we
huge
scored
grin
again.
on his face.
Then, like, it was 3-1, and when they scored again, I thought, hang on a minute. Like, obviously, I still had terrible fear that it was going to end 3-3.
Yeah.
Terrible fear. Mane's missed that late header, which he should have scored, really. And of course, our beloved Creswell didn't get
red carded.
Yeah.
I still don't think that was. I mean, I know people have said
because it didn't look. There weren't that much oomph behind it. What we're discussing there is oomph. Creswell's challenge on Henderson, like sort of in the first half, wasn't it? Actually?
Yeah.
There weren't that much oomph in there.
No, I felt it more like he kind of tumbled over the ball. Like it didn't look like there was enough intent for me, but who knows?
Aaron Creswell's got the pure heart of
and hair.
He's a pure soul, and like I don't think he would. Anyway, so like when it ended 3-2, like it was almost, there was a moment where I was texting a mate of mine who's also a West Ham fan, and I said, "This is one of the top 5 experiences of my life." And I was alone in the room, just watching football.
Yeah.
And this is why football is so nice, because it can take you to those places, and it felt like the sort of the inverse of when we lost to Man United after Mark Noble missed a late penalty. Another situation where I found myself behind the sofa standing with my top off. This time I went to stand behind the sofa and I went to take my top off, and I thought, no, don't take your top off. Don't stand behind the sofa. Go to the side of the sofa.
It's down
and
to
leave
you,
the top
really,
on.
isn't it?
Some people say that it's Moyes' compact teams, the spirit of the club. Carlton Cole, guest on the show last week, says there's a sort of a spirit of unity, togetherness and a real hard work ethic from top to bottom throughout the club. But I say it's me standing to the side of my sofa.
Fully clothed,
urging West Ham onto ever greater heights. What a season it's been so far. What dreams dare we to dream? Silverware, League Cup, FA Cup, Europa League, Champions League qualification. There's all sorts of possibilities for West Ham.
Well, Moyes said that West Ham can't win the title, didn't he, in his post-match?
He did say that, and he said, but we're just enjoying it. And I think, I don't know, like in a sense, the rhetoric around it. Well, what about when Leicester won and Ranieri was just going, we just want to avoid relegation? Till I think the day that they won. Because we just want to avoid relegation. I think you've won the leagues, and I think, you have avoided relegation successfully now.
Yeah, it's a smart tactic.
Yeah, to take the pressure off. I mean, look, there's some issues around squad depth that would need to be discussed, I think. So,
how do you feel about the Moyes being dubbed now?
I like Moyes. Moyes has been going for a while.
Oh, has it?
Yeah, since when he came back after Alan Irvine was looking after the team,
right.
Moyes began. And I like it. I like it as a pun. I like it as an idea. I agree with it. He is the Messiah.
Yeah.
He is the chosen one. That God so loved West Ham that he sent his one Scottish son.
He wore his suit after the game, didn't he, this time? David Moyes' interchangeable post-match costumes.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't seem to have any rhyme or reason to it, because I thought it was just maybe when West Ham win that he puts the suit on. But it's not.
Should we try and get him on the team, on this podcast? And
because he said on the team.
Do you think he would join us here at our brand industries? No.
Wouldn't it be great?
Here are some of my observations that are a bit more...
Are we doing Russell's breakdown?
Can I do...
Russell's football breakdown. This is Russell's breakdown. Russell's breakdown.
The first one would...
breakdowns.
The first one would have to be... In the Match of the Day titles, and I don't know if it's Match of the Day... I don't know if it's Match of the Day 2 or both of them, but I know the titles otherwise are the same. Yeah. There is a sound... When it shows the seagulls of Brighton, there's the noise of seagulls.
Oh...
I don't think they should get that additional
You don't?
nudge.
Oh, I'm pretty sure West Ham get a
What, of the hammers crossing?
Of the hammers crossing.
Sort of a sheathing sound.
I'm pretty sure they do.
Well, we've earned it. Ashley Williams was wearing Alan Shearer's grey wedding cake
it did look
top.
like it. It did look like it.
So why has that taken the world by storm? It's almost like that prostate cancer badge. It's like, is it for a cause, the grey wedding cake? Like that little man made out of, I don't know what he's made of.
Yeah.
Like that people used to wear.
Yeah.
Or the poppy.
Like it's BBC uniform.
It's the uniform now.
So this leads me to know that you also watched. I know what happened.
Yeah, I've watched
liked
it again.
So much. You watched Match of the Day too.
I watched it live, then I watched Match of the Day too to see, just to soak it in again.
Yeah.
I did the double dip.
Yeah. I remember those days. I've done that every now and again with Hull City over the years.
It can't have been too frequent.
It really wasn't.
Because they're often, let's face it, not covered by...
Not only are we not covered...
they're not in the appropriate division.
But we don't win, so...
I mean, when they are...
I know, but there were a few occasions on Match of the Day where I was able to watch the actual game and then the Match of the Day coverage, and that is that's the top stuff, that is, when you're able to do that. Revel in the highlights.
I revelled in them highlights. I really did. I gloried in them. I sat there wiggling my toes with joy, knowing what was coming.
Yeah, of
and
course.
Even when Divock Origi, whose name I like saying.
Yeah.
Because I think, Divock Origi, he's my baby. That's what I'd sing.
It's very good.
Divock Origi, he's my baby. Divock Origi. That's what I'd sing if I was a fan of.
Good chant.
If he ever comes to West Ham, and why wouldn't he?
Why would he not?
To taste the true glory of it.
Good goal of his, wasn't it?
Yeah, that beautiful turn.
Were you nervous?
Goal.
I mean, the Mane header, I know we've already mentioned it, but that was it, wasn't it? It was 3-3.
It's one of those blissful moments
Yeah.
where you feel, we're going to be okay.
How are you feeling about Ogbonna being out for the season?
Oh, what? I didn't know that. I thought he only cut his little eye a bit.
He's out. It looks like he's out for the season.
With a little eye cut?
I don't think it was. It's like a cruise shot or something.
Oh, for the earlier thing where he stayed on and then got the little eye cut?
Yeah.
Oh, no. I'm not happy about that. But we've got Zuma, we've got Dawson.
Yeah, but they're saying he's going to be a big loss.
No!
Takes a little bit of the gloss off the win.
That's took some of the gloss off. I don't want him to be off.
No,
that's
of course
what I don't want. I want Ogbonna to get better. Not just because he's a wonderful player and a solid presence and scores, but also I like his eyebrows very much. I like them. Yeah. I like the way they are on his face.
Got a nice face, doesn't he?
I love Ogbonna.
Yeah.
Antonio, who I love, of course, Mikhail Antonio, is giving too much intel about the deep tactics in his post-match interview. Well, no, we worked on that, and it's my job to block the keeper. I was like, Mikhail, this is actually quite specific information you're giving here.
Yeah.
Just be more vague, is what I felt. He was giving up too much, I think.
Right, I see. He's revelling, isn't he? It's
everyone's revelling in this. We've gone mad. I'm wearing West Ham related clothing every day, even when we're doing the podcast.
Oh, really? That's the reason for this inundation of new merchandise.
I'm keeping that club afloat with my senseless investment in merch.
This one's nice. What's this one then?
It's just like the away strip, or no, the home strip for the Admiral kit of like around 1980, I would estimate, mate. Yeah, that's what I would say. I've got some other observations.
I like that they keep doing these retro kits.
Why don't you get a whole
It's
retro?
a relatively new thing, isn't it? The retro kit that we're able to purchase now.
Karl Marx would say this is another horseman of the apocalypse, a signal of the end of time when everything comes parody and pastiche. If you look across culture and everything seems to be retroactive, he says it's in his critique of Capital, he says you'll notice things completely being revived, revivified, living in sort of a continual nostalgia. And he didn't, of course, know that there was going to be an internet where time went flexible, sped up, went backwards because of the deluge of ongoing information.
No, and he wasn't an expert in football kits either, was he?
He didn't spend any time. If you can scour Capital, and I will not do that, and you could scour the Communist Manifesto, and you will find no mention of like whether or not we should like have long sleeves or short sleeves. None of that. He didn't touch on it. I don't think he saw it.
I've gone for the long sleeves today.
It's nice to see a long.
Yeah.
Oh, that's actually spraying. You carrying that off quite well.
Thanks, mate.
Would you wear that on a date?
No.
What message do you think you send if you turn up in a,
In a football
date
kit?
in a football kit?
That you prioritise football over the relationship.
Yeah,
Probably.
yeah. And
Yeah.
also, what type of person do you think you are if you wear a football kit around? Possibly you're so... Well, one thing is for sure, you're so into football, it's actually overridden your personal style choices.
I bet cool young hipsters do it now. You know, in the way that...
Really?
Yeah, well, you know, people don't care. Well,
They'd have
it
to
looks
be-
like they don't care as much anymore about what they wear. They oversized T-shirts and apparently that's what the kids are doing now.
A friend of mine, Simon, who I like very much, and he's a very good producer, produces This Country, that show, right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's a talented lad, man. He wore, when Christian Eriksen had that terrible moment, like he's a Spurs fan, right? Like he wore a Denmark top with Eriksen on it, like the next day.
Cool.
I didn't think it was right. Because it should wear Spurs top. And even then, Eriksen's left. I'm not saying don't support Christian Eriksen in his terrible moment of need, am I?
What are you saying? What are you saying then?
Don't wear a Denmark top unless you're a Danish person.
So only express it in.
I might be.
by the
Is this
media.
nationalism and a lack of compassion for Christian Eriksen? Jen, what do you
It's
think?
exactly that.
It's like your weird thing about towns having two sports.
Choose your sport, town.
Oh, yeah.
Choose your-
Wigan. Is it football or is it rugby? Choose your sport.
Is there
town.
an international team that you support if it's not
Other than England?
Yeah. Because in Ireland you do, because Ireland never do very well.
Well, I do
so you
like
have to
Ireland.
So you
yes.
have to choose a team that might
Non-British
be,
team.
yeah, that might be in the...
Historically, we've had a lot of conflict with Denmark. In fact, the wars and bloodshed
There he
between the
goes again.
Danes and the English.
Can't help himself.
Wait, does Tim Krul pay for them?
No, he's Dutch.
Oh, so
Historically, we've had a lot of conflict with the Dutch. In fact, phrases like double Dutch, Dutch courage, all come from our conflicts with the Dutch people. And that's why we will call their country Holland, even though they've never called it that and don't call it.
Yeah.
It's like, no,
we
Holland.
keep doing that.
Yeah, I know. It's not right, is it? That's what is that? Imperialism, jingoism. Anyway, so what? My friend should have worn that Denmark top, and it was nice that he did that.
Yeah.
Also, it was for the England game, by the way. It was for it was the opening qualifier.
Oh well, I don't know. That's a different matter, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, he's a friend. And
I guess what he was
criticise
saying
people.
is that he was putting Christian Eriksen over national rivalries or football at all.
Some things are more important than football.
That's what he was. That was the
well,
statement.
that is true.
Yeah.
That is true.
What was this little noise you're just making, Ross?
That's just I stir one of my many. That's not that
I
loud.
feel like there should be a whole new segment on the show called Russell's Noises. Because
That's what you spend all your time editing out of our other content on
Yeah,
YouTube.
I do spend a lot of time doing that.
Me and
yeah.
my blow burps.
We get an increasing amount of
Supplements as I cling on to life.
also comments.
Are we? No, I saw one that said, well, I saw one review on iTunes, and please send your reviews to iTunes or wherever you can leave reviews. Just review it if you want. Go to a cemetery and just, not on a tombstone, perhaps on the side of the church, to review this podcast. In fact, stay at the cemetery. I don't know what's wrong with my mind. I saw one review goes, I would have given it 5 stars because it is excellent content, well produced, lovely badinage between the three of you. Jenny May Finn, what a lovely voice. Gareth Roy, brilliant insights. Russell, funny as always. However, this eating on mic is disgusting.
Yeah.
3 stars. Yeah. So actually it's costing us stars. And he said that if I didn't do it again, they would go back in, he or she would go back in and add 2 more stars back in.
Retrospect. Can you do that?
I don't know. Can you, Jen?
I don't think so, but you could do another one.
Could do another
Could do
review
another
from
one.
another device, though, because I've tried to give us multiple 5-star reviews and it won't let me.
Will it not?
I'm only allowed to have one 5-star
Amazing.
review.
I haven't done it yet.
Gal,
Yeah, me neither.
No.
serve the algorithm.
I'm waiting for just the right point.
Well, it's now.
where we hit our peak.
And then I'll read it out, and I'll see if I can find it if you use a fake name.
Okay.
And I bet I will. Leave a clue in there, like a little trail of breadcrumbs for Hansel and Gretel, like a little trail of breadcrumbs. Oh, following in breadcrumbs. But hold on, the birds have pecked it.
The London Stadium,
Rocking, full of atmosphere. Now, I'm thinking about going. I've not been to football for a long while. I live too far away. I do find it, as we've discussed before, frightening and stressful.
It really is.
I'm wondering, because I've obviously got some connections at West Ham, like as with Cole invited me to be on West Ham TV. He's not followed up on that yet. Though he did text to give us Joe Cole's number. So, like, we've got Tony Adams on the show today.
Amazing.
Fantastic.
In 15 minutes.
Tony Adams is going to be on in 15 minutes. We better prepare for that.
Yep.
And Joe Cole will come on at some point. And we're thinking of getting some non-football guests. John Bishop, I'm going to ask. You're going to ask.
Tim Lovejoy.
I'm going to ask. Maybe should we get Noel Gallagher on, or do you think it'll get all intense?
Yeah, it's all right. I think we can. Yeah, I think it'll be fine.
Handle it,
yeah, we can handle
football.
it. It's football, isn't
So
it?
don't need to hurt
Also,
my feelings.
I mean, he supports Man City. He can't be angry about anything, can
What's
he?
there to be angry about?
Exactly.
Not having a striker. The result against Palace. What are you angry about?
Yeah, going out the League Cup.
To West Ham United on penalties. All right, all right. These are all talking points. All right, so like we can ask him. But like, I wonder. Sometimes I want to go football just normal, like because it is a privilege to go through the hospitality thing, but also that privilege separates you from the reality of the experience. So I'm wondering whether I should just go, sit in a normal seat, enjoy myself. And in fact, let us know, will you? Send us messages whether you think I should go the prawn sandwich, although I'm vegan, luxury version of football, or should I just go and risk fan violence?
Have you thought about disguises before?
Go on then. Who will I disguise myself as?
Well, I don't know. I was asking. I mean, have you
Rita
ever...
Ora. I could go as her.
Why not?
Who else could I go as?
I mean,
Hoddle. I can't go as Hoddle.
You should go with someone who's not famous, though. Otherwise, you'll suck at the same.
The same problem.
Yeah.
What would you do to,
Put a blonde wig
disguise
on.
this
blonde
face?
wig.
When a few years ago, the wife and I, Laura Brand, we were staying in Nick Cage's house in Glastonbury for a couple of months. Surprisingly,
That was the name drop.
it was quite a normal house.
Right.
Surprisingly
what are you
normal.
saying?
Well, I mean, like Nick Cage, he's a very sort of baroque, ornate, glamorous, crazy, intense, gifted, magnificent actor. His house looked like it could belong to a child surveyor. There was admittedly, no, I shouldn't talk too much about his house, but there was a stained glass window of King Arthur. But other than
normal stuff.
like any
your
regular...
average 2 up, 2 down.
Right, and that's the downstairs toilet. We had that fitted, and then we've got ourselves a microwave oven. There's the stained glass King Arthur. Anyway, that was
What
beautiful.
was the most normal bit of it, though? Did you see stuff? Because
I
it's
guess
weird.
it looked
going...
like it was a new build. Like it was a relatively new build.
Right.
It did have orchard in the garden.
I think
I've
Russell's
lo-
idea of
that's
new build
reality.
is very
Yeah,
different
it
to
was
ours.
quite normal looking.
It was, yeah. Did you come, Jen?
No, I had to go down afterwards to deliver something.
Oh yeah. Oh God. Jesus, what a fiasco. Anyway, while we were staying, I love Nick Cage, and while we were staying there, me and Laura, we wanted to be like, I wanted to just go out and hang out in the town of Glastonbury and stuff. So we developed these disguises. Now, Laura had a nice. Well, firstly, I did 2 things that were wrong. One is I made Laura dress as a sort of a dowdy Eastern European woman. Like I think there was headscarves and things that were sort of out of time, really. I put like. Because we got the stuff from shops in Glastonbury, and she said, "Hold on a minute, this." And
Were these
said,
like
I don't
spy
need to
shops or
disguise
something?
as well. They
Or
weren't
just
spy shops.
normal shops?
Normal shops where you might get like a big scarf with Sanskrit on it, and there's joss sticks in there. Like maybe there's a shop like in Camden.
Yep,
it smells
do.
funny in there. All right, so there's a lot of those shops. So and I bought I dressed myself up. I got white mascara from Boots and whited my beard out because back then I didn't need. That was a change back then, 5 years ago, before I had any grey hair. And then I whited my beard out, and I wore a pair of thick specs, and I wore a hat. But the mistake I made, as Laura pointed out, is that the personality of my disguise was an extravagant show-off. So I was going, right, what's going on? Like in shops and stuff, and like
Drawing attention to
I
yourself.
was drawing attention to myself in the disguise. In a sense, perhaps the disguise was a success, and I realised that the lifeblood of constant attention was being denied me, and I started to atrophy like a co-joined twin that couldn't get to the nutrients of fame.
Yeah, trying to rub off that white ink out of your beard.
I got to rub off my white ink. I got to rub off my white ink out of my beard. Why are you shaking your head, Jen? What's wrong with rub off my white ink out of my beard, Jen? Anyway, so if you do pick a disguise, Like, look, they should do pick a disguise. Pick a disguise that's useful and it's not weird. And also, if you're about to interview Tony Adams, don't 1 minute before you have Tony Adams on the line and you've got to cultivate the right sort of ambience, dealing with subjects like recovery, his excellence as an athlete, management, perhaps a few questions from the modern game. Don't just 1 minute before we go, I've got to wrap off Whiting, because then how are you going to transition to that vibe?
Difficult. Do we need to prep Adams?
Yes, please prep now.
Prep Adams.
Right.
You've probably less than 10 minutes.
Okay, we can do this. So maybe a bit of a backstory as to how this came about. Like, you're mates with Tony Adams, right? Or you're
I know Tony Adams. I've got his number. I wouldn't say mates because I've not cultivated a friendship, but they're with people that are in recovery from alcoholism and addiction, which I know I've never told you this, Gareth, but I'm actually in recovery. Yeah, I don't think less of me. He is also. So what I wanted to do, you have a sense of affinity, perhaps like you might have with other Hull fans if you've ever met one.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Have you ever met one?
Yeah, I met one in London recently. Whilst queuing up for the doctors.
Well, that makes sense. What's wrong? Psychiatrist, was it? A good little joke there.
I met him whilst queuing up for the pills going in.
Tablets now. Go on, so you're at the doctor's, you're queuing up.
I turned round and the lad behind me had a Hull City hat on. Bubble hat, whatever they're called. Beanie.
Do you say bubble hat anymore, mate?
No idea.
Do you say bubble?
If it has a bubble on the top.
If it has a bubble on the top.
If it has a put a ring on it. If it has a bubble on the top. Listen, bubble on the top. Listen, Jen. I know what the bubble indicates.
Beanies don't have the bubble.
I know what the bubble refers to in the bubble hat. But, Jenny, you don't hear people say bubble hat, do you? Like bubble gum and bumblebee and the other 2-syllable B words. Bubble hat, bubble gum, bumblebee are slipping out of language, and you pair of clowns are trying to drag it back.
It sounded like Jen says that sentence all the time.
Say it again, Jen.
If it has a bubble on the
If
top.
it has a bubble on the top.
If it has a bubble on the top. If you like it, should have a ring on it. Put a little bubble on the top. Is this your new Destiny's Child meets the Cause?
That's quite a compliment, isn't it?
What is?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
What you just said.
If I like to put a
Not
bubble
that
on the
bit.
top.
Not that bit.
What a super group between Destiny's Child and the Cause, yeah.
Child of Destiny.
Could be called Destiny Core.
Core. I'm like, core Destiny. As if you're turned on by Destiny.
By Destiny.
Oh, look at that. I'm going to fulfill
Destiny.
this. Oh, blimey. Look at it.
Look at the male one.
Yeah, I blanked him out.
I was jealous of him.
Well, they're his sisters.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, why?
I didn't know that, actually.
Because remember,
I didn't know
he's
that.
grown up with them, and there's the strong taboos against
I just
incest.
want to make absolutely clear I didn't realise he was the...
Well, what are they called the Cause for?
I don't know.
That's their name, Mr. Core, Mrs. Core, the
I've not
Cause.
thought enough about this.
He likes
Apologies.
conspiracy theories, though, so he might...
Go on, what do you mean? What's the conspiracy? That he's
all of
not
them.
really a brother?
No, he enjoys conspiracy theories.
Who Gareth does? Or
No, Jim Core.
Jim Core.
Jim Core. Jim Core likes a conspiracy,
Yeah,
does he?
yeah,
Or
he
as
does.
he calls them, conspiracies. Child of Destiny. All
Right, Tony Adams.
Tony Adams.
Christ,
Arsenal
what's wrong
legend.
with us?
Believe he was at West Ham for a little bit as a youth player. I don't know because I get confused because sometimes I've sent it back. That's happened. I
read that
John Terry, I think, was
He
at
spent his entire...
career at Arsenal.
Yeah.
So I'm wrong about that.
I don't know, you
bring
might-
it up.
you
Don't
might
bring
not.
it up. What, Jenny done some research? Hold on.
Have
Let's
Jenny
find
done some research?
If you like to put a bubble on it. What, Jenny, what is it? What do you call those hats that on the top of them there is a bubble? This could be our first question. Tony. He played for Arsenal in England, captain in both teams, spent 19 years as a centre-back for Arsenal. That's unbelievable.
Yeah. Only Arsenal. So one of the questions I would like to ask
He's considered one of the best Arsenal players. Yeah.
is was there ever any interest in
left?
going somewhere else? Were there moments?
That's nice. That's a
'Cause
good question.
I think he won league title. I think he captained Arsenal over 3 decades.
What a great guy. You're right, he won 66 caps. I don't think Terence Alexander-Arnold. Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Okay.
I don't think Trent Alexander-Arnold should be allowed to have 66 as his number.
We must stick on Tony Adams.
All right, once... Because there's so many things happened then. Firstly, I said Terence Trent D'Arby,
Yep.
who's not a footballer.
Nope.
Then I said that he shouldn't be allowed the number 66 on his back.
Yeah.
The whole thing was pointless. Possibly should be cut. No. Okay. So he won 66 caps, which is good because that's the significant number. He's 54. He's got a statue.
Yes.
He's next to Herb Chapman and
Yes.
Thierry Henry.
Yes.
He's managed the Wanderers round here. He's managed Pompey. He's managed the Azerbaijani side Gabala. Spanish side, if you like Granada, Spanish side Granada. Just before his retirement, he had applied to become the manager of Brentford after Coppell resigned, but his application was rejected. Jen, don't put that in the research. Trying to create a rapport with him.
It's just so.
Can I tell you what the final word in the research is?
Rejected.
Rejected,
No, there's
Jen.
one more line, isn't there?
25 years sober. He's a rejected drunk. Well done, Jen. One of the greatest
Thanks, Jen.
footballers in English
I couldn't
history.
tell if that was like a fact. You guys would be like, "Oh, that's interesting."
It's like you want this to
You're
go
like,
badly.
"Oh, why
Isn't
wouldn't
it?
they?"
And I
want
really
him?
like him and I respect him and I hope it goes well. Okay, so hold on a minute. All we've got so far, Gal, is did he ever want to leave Arsenal?
Yeah, or were there ever bids in for him? I mean, there must have been. He was an absolute rock, wasn't he, for Arsenal? I'd love to know his thoughts. I mean, we both saw him on Sky recently reacting to the derby, the Spurs game, where Arsenal, I think they went 3-0, didn't they?
Yeah.
And
you liked it when he got called Mr. Adams.
I did like him being called Mr. Adams, yeah, by the young players. And so I'd love to know his thoughts on Arsenal at the moment because they're on a real great run of form, aren't they?
All right, all right, we'll do that. Arsenal. We'll ask about Arsenal in a moment. Can't you pull up some research? What about something weird we can ask him?
I couldn't find much weird stuff. He did a 3-year course in sports science.
Science of the sports.
Yeah. What was interesting about that, I thought, was that Jen, there is a reason behind this. Was that he turned down manager positions after ending his playing career because he said he wasn't prepared, and so he went and did 3-year sports science degree, which is like, that's impressive, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because a lot of players these days, I know they have to get the badges and all that, but they go pretty much straight into it. Some without badges at all. Oh, God.
Do you think the badges are vital?
It's like you're trying to make a little song up.
Well, I am. I'm doing this. This is the theme tune of Succession.
Tony Adams is in the waiting room.
Oh, God.
And I'm playing the xylophone, made of cups.
I'm letting him in.
Let Tony Adams in right now.
No.
Pundits. Tony. Oh my God, there he is. All right, Tony.
Hello, mate.
Oh, it's lovely to see you. Thank you so much for coming on.
Look at the old Hammers shirt there, mate.
I don't take this stuff off these days.
Shall I go and put mine on?
Well, if you've got one, yeah. I mean, I think that would be amazing. I'd like to see you in like one of your kits.
Well, I don't know. I'll pop it. Am I late or early, by the way? In my diary, it said 11:15.
You're exactly on. Well, Tony, you can do what you want. You could do it no later than many of your challenges.
I usually do.
yeah. No, I've been paying close attention.
I'm going to go and get a shirt.
Go on.
Everyone's got shirts on. I'm going to go and get.
Gal's wearing his whole shirt. Go on, Tony.
Oh, amazing.
Oh, Tony Adams going to get one of his shirt. I wonder what he's going to do.
Bent
Right, this
into our own
prediction.
will.
What? That's not the take home. Right, do you think he's going to wear a red home kit for Arsenal? Do you think he's going to wear something he's worn before? Do you think he's going to wear a yellow Arsenal away kit? Do you think it's going to say Cannon on it? Do you think there's going to be a story? I reckon it's going to be a yellow one with that bit of blue in it. You know? Oh, unite people, or the English people.
I think it'll be club.
He's going to go club because we're wearing club.
Yeah.
And do you think it's going to be actually a kit that he wore as a player?
That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
And where's he gone?
Because that's a great.
Do you think he's going to ever come back, or he's just wandered off?
That's a bit. If it's a kit that he'd previously worn, we've got our interview right there.
Oh,
talk
right.
about the shirt.
Yeah, but we're gonna look. You can see he's garrulous. He's warm. He's friendly. He's lovely. We're gonna be fine.
There's no backdrop, is there?
No backdrop. Very anonymous. It looks like he's he's calling us from like a sort of a room where they take you in an airport to be interviewed about something's wrong with your passport.
Has happened to you, hasn't it?
It always happens every time because I've made mistakes. Mistakes have been made in the past. The tension of waiting for Tony Adams to come back in frame.
I know.
I did quite a good thing about late challenges there, but it sort of got a bit lost. You know, he goes, "Oh, am I late?" I go, "Yeah, no later than your challenges." Quite a good bit of banter.
That's very good.
Sorry, I run upstairs.
So I told you it'd be that kit.
He did.
I said it would be an away kit. You look amazing.
Wow.
Is that? Did you wear that or is it merch?
I think it just came to hand. It's the 89, mate.
Oh my God! It's the 89 last minute.
So. I can't tell, but
Wow.
you're gonna have to. Yeah, it's not dirty. and I think the other one that I've got so many.
God.
That I think it's it might not be the one, but we'll say it's the one.
Yeah, because a good story is more important than reality. Just to introduce you, there's that's Gareth. He's host
Lovely
of the
to meet
show.
you, Tony. Lovely.
There you go.
Hiya.
Yeah. What did Smite Milligan say? He said about the why let the truth get in the way of the good story or something like that. What did he say? I'll get this right. We're not taping now, are we?
Yeah, no pressure, Tone. Don't worry about that, mate.
Pressure's on. Pressure's on. Get it out.
He says, "Never let the truth get in the way of a good story." Is that it?
I think it was like a funny lie is better than the boring truth.
Oh, that sounds like
nice.
Spike Milligan. Yeah, that's nice. Also, so I've heard like when talking about archetypes and myth, people say it's more true because it didn't happen. Like, for example, if you look at like religious myths, the truth of a resurrection or a virgin birth, whether or not it actually happened, there's a truth. We've gone quite deep into Christian theology pretty early.
Too deep, too early.
The Tony Adams story. Alternative autobiography.
Too deep, too early.
It's so lovely to have you on, mate, because I know that we can talk about like this is like a pretty light-hearted football chat show. We've had Dave Seaman came on. He was fantastic.
Perfect.
Yeah, we've had the he done a good job. He was lovely. But like obviously with you, I know that we're both men that are in recovery. And always when I watch you now on telly, like for example at the North London Derby when you was on Sky recently, I feel like you're operating on a different level, and I feel like it's down to recovery. I sort of see a kind of a calmness and a, dare I say it, serenity in your personality compared to the sort of some fraught intensity of some of the other pundits. How do you feel when you go in them environments now, mate?
Free as a bird. It's my truth now, and you were right. It's on a spiritual plane now, isn't it? We've gone to hell and back, and it's just great to be sitting there and doing stuff like this, you know what I mean? It's like I'll be down the pub or shit-faced by now, you know what I mean? And I just sit there with my other pundits that have not got a 12-step program, and I just feel so sorry for them, and I just feel like, my God, they ain't got no tools that I've got now. So I'm kind of grateful that I maybe did go to that end, to that bottom, and got recovery, like you say. And John Trolan sent his regard. I played golf with him yesterday. He said thanks for all the work you do at the Nelson Trust, by the way.
Oh, thank you. No, thanks for passing that on. Cheers, I appreciate that.
He's a good man. He's a good man. Do some good work down there with the women in particular. They do some amazing work.
Yeah, it's brilliant down there, isn't it? It's something that interests me. I mean, like you've already indicated, it kind of becomes your life, doesn't it? When you're in recovery, first of all, you start off thinking, I just can't drink and take drugs, and that in itself is an overwhelming challenge. But like for me, I've discovered that everything in my life has to be passed through the lens and rubric of my recovery. And when you say that you've got tools, we acquire a conscience, don't we? Somewhere. I wish I didn't have it, but I have. I've got a conscience today. It kind of puts me right. Yeah, it's a weird thing, isn't it? Because for me, I still feel sometimes conflicted. I still feel the pull of what I would consider, might be known as in the program language, defects of character. Like sometimes, my pride, my arrogance. Sometimes I want, obviously, I want a lot of attention and that kind of thing. But I suppose
me too. It's good not very good for a podcast. My mouth don't shut up now, Russell. It's gone bonkers. Like, shut up. Let someone else speak. It's not about you.
I'll tell you what, as a public figure, I feel like, maybe you and maybe Robert Downey Jr. are like people where you can sort of really observe, this is what it looks like when someone's not in recovery, and this is what it looks like when they are. Like, because you was like, even watching you as a player, the energy of you as a player was like ferocious and full on and eager. It looked like, I'm only using this because it's you in your ear and you've said, and we know what the principles are, but like a sort of like the kind of selfishness I imagine you require to be captain of Arsenal and England, that you can't be like some sort of retiring, wallflower figure if you need to be that urgent. Is that fair? What was the fuel you were running on other than Stella Artois during that time?
Well, definitely in the early days, it was a bit of that. But I think that I kind of, my story is that I needed, I think, recovery to spread the word of, I got my mojo back. You know what I mean? And so I don't go along the lines of, you know, taking, drinking drugs. You're in the groove and everything else. It's not my experience. My experience is when I put the drink and the drug down, my life took off and my career took off. I played 6 years, more successful than ever, you know, more 2 doubles, you know, and it was physically, mentally and emotionally, that explosion. You know, I've got a statue up at the Emirates at North London Stadium. I don't get that if I'm still using, Russell. You know, there's no way I get that. So there's 2 ways of doing it. Being a captain for me, there was my early career and my later career. In my early career, it was all stick, my way or the highway, you know, and it does get results, but mentally and emotionally, not healthy results, maybe. And it took its toll when I suppressed. And then once I surrendered, then I became a completely different player, became a different human being. And as you resented, I captained with compassion and love at the end of my career. You know, I used different ways, different tools. The more I got to know about me, the more I knew about other people. You know, I had kind of a little bit of in my early days, you do it like this, you're going to do it like this if you're late. I'll give you one instance, Russell. I'm sorry, I'm talking. I don't know if we've started, but there's one really kind of instance that stands out, and it's a really dear friend of mine, Righty, and he was having problems getting in. And I'll be careful, the odd occasion, because I said it recently and he got on the phone to me straight in. I wasn't late every day. I wasn't late. He occasionally was late. He used to come around the M25 with Colin Pates, who was a player for us as well. And he was getting late for training every day. And I think at my early part of my career, I would have probably gone, Righty, for God's sake, you get your arse in here. Come on. You know, I would have got him and probably, and got him on time. But I'm sober, I'm clean, I've got a 12-step program, I've got a spiritual leader in my coach who's Arsene Wenger. And I went to Arsene and I said, come on, we got to kill Righty. We got to get him on time, you know. And he just said, well, Tone, you know, is there a different way? Maybe we put training time back.
Training.
Training time back. We're moving from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock so he can get in on time. No, you know, it's all about me. I want to go home early. No, get him in on time. So, look, we need him. He's a great player of the team. You know, maybe we just let him have another couple of bits. And he got in on time and we went on to win the double that year. And Righty was influential in that season, you know, and it's a different way. And it was less kind of, you know, everything I ever let go of's got teeth marks in, you know, everything, you know, back up against the wall. I came in with John C. He's out there, but John C's a boxer, John, and he wrestled everything, you know, that arrogance, that kind of pride, all that stuff, you know, everything, character defects that you brought up. He wrestled absolutely in recovery, wrestled every single thing to actually just go, you know, let good and let something else now is really. Really interesting.
Well, it's pretty amazing, the transitional period, because for you it's happening sort of like, you know, I remember, I don't know the exact chronology, but I know you went away for a bit, I think with a drink driving or whatever, wasn't it? And like, so like you would have thought that would have happened. There's that sort of transformative time around the club anyway with Arsene Wenger and everything. And like, how did you go from one day being that kind of captain that's like all stick and fist to fists? Let me pluralise that because the word fist on it without the S, it's got connotations that we could well leave alone. To be coming back and having to embrace this kind of sensitivity. Because in my own recovery in life, it's taken me a very long time to learn to behave in a different way and to learn new skills. Whereas you had to function at that top level with a new mentality. I don't know how you did that and what was it like? And what about with the relationships with the other players? Like the other players at that time?
It changed. Well, massive. First and foremost, I came out of prison, you know, 33 years ago now, and I jumped for another, and I used for another 6 years, Russell. I had no education when coming in Chelmsford Prison. I'm going back in there on the 2nd. They've actually got a 12-step program. Hallelujah. My other hat is I'm a patron of Forward Trust, which was originally RAT, Recovery Addicted Prisoners Trust.
Yeah, so that's like you help men that are coming out of prison to get a program and stuff. Is that right?
They get jobs and there's 12-step programs in, and if they want to go onto a wing inside the prison that's drug-free and you know and start a new way. I got no education why I was in Chelmsford Prison. I didn't have no one come up to me. There was a guy that was 4 times over the drinking limit. He got in a car on a Sunday afternoon, went straight across the A road, straight across the A127, mate, straight across, doing 80 miles an hour. It could have cost anybody. Traffic could have been there. I hit the lamppost and ended up in someone's front room. And actually first time in 7 years, I put the seatbelt on. I never wore a seatbelt, and that day I did. So even then something was looking after me. But my point is I never got any advice. I might not have been ready. Someone might not come up to me and gone, oh God, do you think you've got a bit of problems with your drinking here? It wasn't the issue. There was all justifications, denial. I ain't got a problem. He drinks more than me. Minimisation. He drinks more than me. Justification. Your drink if you've got a crack addict wife like mine as well. You know what I mean? It's like justification. How can I have a problem? I'm bloody Arsenal captain, for God's sake. We've just done 89, 91. Can't have a problem. So it took me another 5 years of research to finally get to the bottom. And in that process, you said to me, I got it. That moment that I started crying, I was 29 years of age, and I didn't want to be on the planet anymore. And it had got to the place that I wanted out. It was too painful. The tears were coming down. I had a surrender moment, a God moment, call it what you want, a moment of clarity. And the compulsion to drink was removed from me at that very point. Before I even got in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous, I just asked for help. It was just something inside of me. I just went, I've had enough. Yeah. I'm done here. I've gone round the block too many times, and I'm beat here. And it's football, it's about competition and stuff. And I was trying to beat it. I was trying to beat it 2-0 and keep a clean sheet. It doesn't work. It doesn't work with them drugs and stuff. It don't work. It gave me a good iodine, and I went boom, and I started to win. So I was surrounded by winners. So in early days, before matches, after matches, I went to meetings. I got a fantastic sponsor / mentor / mate, that showed me, took me through the steps over a couple of years. I had the World Cup in '98 that I was in step 4 for. So I had to put it to bed because it was too emotional for me. I'm waffling on.
No,
sorry,
it's not
Russell.
waffling. It's amazing. I just want to bridge some of the gaps, like that. For people that have done a program, I talk a lot about recovery, and I sort of like that. Step 4 is the personal inventory, where you go back over your life, all the things you've done that you regret, anything that's happened to you that has caused you a problem or a resentment, and it's like a repackaging and a re-understanding, a thorough inventory of your life. Now, this is when recovery becomes, for me, very interesting, because it no longer becomes about alcohol and drugs. It becomes about the person that you are that requires drink and drugs. And when we touched upon with punditry, and not that it's for us to take other people's inventory, so I wouldn't use specific examples, in public life everywhere, you see people are full on and intense, and see there with the example you use with Righty, mate, there's there's is it wrong for him to come late? That's sort of his problem and his business. And then there's that feeling that I'm projecting this, I imagine you had, of no, I'm in charge here. Like, I'm not going to allow that to happen. And then that's your own stuff. And if you inventory that, you start to realize, oh, wow, why do I need to be in control? Why am I affected? How is my self-esteem affected by the actions of other people? Now, this is when I think everyone needs recovery. And those of us that have had a chemical dependency issue that takes you to the bottom, we're lucky because we're shown it will never work. Whereas a lot of people can just continue to operate because their problems aren't putting them in prison or putting them in an asylum or whatever. So, so I just wanted to sort of bridge that little bit, and the image of you in 98.
You've always explained it better than me, Russell. You've always explained it better than me, mate.
I wouldn't necessarily say that.
Yeah,
my story doesn't have a bit where I have to front up to being right.
that shift, that paradigm shift, I needed to turn the telescope round, and I'm very grateful that I did that way. And yeah, you're right. It's about the behaviours today, and and all the stuff of life stuff. So I'm still in psychotherapy. Been in psychotherapy 25 years now because I need it. I need it. It's just like my physical health. If I go and I saw my fitness trainer today, and we had a good workout. I need to go and see my mental coach, as it were. Mate. It's on the same planet as me. Yeah. Because we're wired up differently as well, mate. I think about stuff all the times, and it's not safe to go in my head alone. That's for sure.
Wow, that's really strong. Thank you. I'm getting a lot of identification for this. This is becoming a kind of a 12-step situation. Tony, like, did you, as well as there are people you know that sort of like you think, oh, that person could do with a program. When you talk about someone like Arsene Wenger, you said like was like a sort of spiritual leader. Was he a person you think was operating on a spiritual plane already automatically? You know, like sometimes I meet people that are already, you know, as much as I say, oh, this person could do with a program, sometimes I know this person does have a program, even making that choice that he made of, well, we'll change training then. You know, he didn't think, oh, I will look weak if I do that. He recognised, oh, Ian Wright needs a bit of cotton wool or kid gloves or whatever it was he thought. You know, did you look to him as a sort of a person who was spiritually switched on, as well as obviously intellectually and tactically and all that?
Yeah, obviously his stuff's nothing to do with me, so I have to kind of a little bit around that. But I have got judgments, and I've got, and he is a wonderful, wonderful human being. He is a natural. I would argue that maybe he showed a little bit of an addictive personality at the end of his time at the Arsenal. I think not letting go of stuff, legacy stuff. When's your time to go? When's time to move on? I'm not sure he's got those tools, but I had a 6-year relationship at the start, and his mum and dad, interestingly, his mum and dad run a pub in Strasbourg, and he could see how alcohol changed people. And so he had a little bit of an understanding about the illness, you know, and I shared some stories with, he was just a great spirit. He's a very spiritual man, Russell. And he is kind of, I've always, because I need help. You know, I don't actually like people, but I do need people. You know, and I force myself at times to open up my mouth and talk to you guys, which is all paradoxical. But with Arsene, he doesn't. He's got no mates. He's got no friends. You know, he's got no one around him. And I've said to him all that, where's your support system? Where's your network of people, your winners? Yeah. You know, my mum always just said, show me your friends and I'll show you. And all he did was went to the training ground and the stadium. That's all he did, you know. And obviously his relationships went to one side. But I am analysing and paralysing. It is nothing to do with me. But you can see, you know, he's with his wife's situation and his child, and he freely admits in his book that Arsenal pretty much cost him the relationships of those two women in his life. So there is tendencies there. But I've got to say, 6 years working with a man that's just a one. I used to have a cup of tea and we used to chew the fat. You know, it just used to be like this, Russell. We just used to go in and have a good chat about life and stuff and about psychology and politics and economics. And we just chewed the fat and we went, go and do your stuff.
Tony, like with sometimes I've thought, like when players come to prominence that are clearly brilliant and then they sort of, it's evident that there's a dip, a decline, or even a disappearance. I often speculate not whether it's necessarily addiction, because that's there's chemical dependency, like they're on drugs. But I just sometimes think, just statistically, the age group, the money they're earning, the backgrounds they're from, there must be a lot of addiction issues in the game, and as well as that, mental health type issues, I imagine, just because of the rather unique and oddly catastrophic situation of coming in 99% of cases from a working class background, suddenly being loaded, operating at that level, on one hand like the intensity, on the other hand being handled like you're a little prince and all of that. I just wonder what that does to people, and I wonder what kind of support is provided for players, like this, for example, just to use an example of someone it's been quite well publicised. I really, and I'm not making any judgment because I don't know for sure, but I loved Ravel Morrison, right? And I felt like that kid comes from, he's seen things and been places, and that's a matter of public record. And I felt like, I wonder, and this is not critique of West Ham, just to be clear, because I support them and I love them, but I just wonder what kind of, because it's actually, if you think about it, Tony, talking about your own experience, it's quite a esoteric area. It's quite like you've got like your 20 year or whatever, 33. I don't know how deep you are into your process, but you're
25.
Congratulations. Like you're pretty deep into that process. It's hard. So do you think that there's a requirement for more of that type of support, and in a real and authentic way, rather than get some shoelaces that represent it or something, like like proper structural support for mental health in the game?
Well, I'd like to think that my charity, Sporting Chance, is giving that and delivering that. You know, we helped over 1,000 sports people in 2019. The kind of presenting issues are very different today. We've seen a move away from anxiety and depression into trauma and bereavement with the pandemics, maybe an effect of that. But there's a massive education department at my charity, and we get round all the clubs. And I've got to say, the PFA, it's a British organisation, but they do look after past and present. You're a PFA member for life, you know. So we're getting at the clinic, for instance, the old timers that got their arse hanging out, that are in their 50s and 60s and lost everything, and they are addicts, and they're coming into the rehab at that point. And we've got also people that are young and earning a lot of money, and they're coming in with gambling addictions, which taken over from the alcohol, the gambling. Young man, people, they can't play the level that I play to. And drink that amount of booze, it's impossible. You know, everybody in the game that I was, we had a bit of a level playing field because a lot of people were drinking very heavily, you know. So I was lucky in that respect. But today you just can't play at the physical levels. So my charity is doing a hell of a lot of work around mental health. And like I say, there's a helpline there, the PFA putting through people. To be honest with you, I'm not plugging my charity here, but it's emotional, mental, the biggest globally sports mental health charity. Nice. So they do some fantastic work. There's a network of counsellors that they've got, put people through one-to-one therapy. We've got the clinic with 360 support of young players, and they need all the help. The next one to be gaming and gambling, and online stuff and social stuff. Russell, you know, it's the new kiddie on the block. You know, it's the new, because we know. I think I don't want to speak to you, but I know the illness is in me, and it's not in the drink, the drug, the bottle, the gaming, the gambling. It's not in that. You know, the illness was in me, and but like you say as well. The whole population could do with this stuff, you know, with these tools. So we not only go in there and address the 10% of the population, the addict population, where we look after the 90% as well. We're just, sometimes the biggest call that we get is just low mood. I'm having a bad day. It's a rough patch, you know, and they can't go to their boss because it's a competitive industry. They can't go to their line manager or pick up the phone and go, look, I'm really struggling here, you know, and they need a safe place to do that. Sorry, Russ.
No, everything you're saying is perfect. Do you know, like all the stuff, like I get obsessed now that I've got a program around my conduct, around say pornography or anything like that. You know, I have to work a program there. I have to work a program around food. I have to work a program like we were saying at the beginning. I have to work it in every area of my life. In a sense, though, like I find ways of locking onto something, and work can be one of them things. Like, because you're allowed to sort of work. You're meant to work. You know, like we have. Like at our little group, we have a woman, Manya, who's, you might even know, she's got 30 years plus in the program, and she does like, you know, like we can like have a session with her every week or whatever. And I feel like one of the things that I'm getting from my recovery and from hearing you talk about it is it's everything. It's operating on another level. And like, that's what I thought was interesting, because me and Gareth talked about it on another podcast when we knew you were coming on. We talked about like when you were on Sky that time, that your vibe is different than everyone else's. Your vibe, like everyone else is in the intensity, and it's enjoyable and it's great TV. I love Graham Souness, I love Roy Keane, I love all of them, like, you know, punditry. I love that, watching it. It's entertaining. But like, I thought like you were like a person who was like in a sort of a flow of a different sort of, you know, and really when we talk about changing the world, it's like a lot of it is because people are in a materialistic, addiction-based mentality, you know, like an ego-based, individual-based, consumerism-based. You know, what is addiction other than I want something from outside, I want to put it in my body, I want to attach myself to it. You know, that's the whole culture is dominated by that. Spiritual principles have been maligned and lost and forgotten, and it sometimes takes a crisis of an individual or a social nature to bring those spiritual principles back to the forefront of people's lives and minds. So I think it's amazing what you're doing with Sporting Chance. Of course, I was aware of that. You've got a joint avenue somewhere in it overseas. You take people away and stuff. Is that right? Is your clinic, or am I getting confused?
In Hampshire.
All right, getting confused between you and Eric Clapton is what's happening now.
Oh, no, yeah, Eric's got a place, Crossroads, in Antigua, which he struggles with people coming back into the country. Obviously, I think they need I'm not analysing the bloody rehabs of the world, I'm moving, but you are absolutely correct, because there's 60 fellowship groups now, and I don't know, it's all the same illness for me, but I can be a work addict. And I went to China, and about 6 years ago, I had a couple of stents put in my chest here, my widow vein, they call it, the main artery was 99% closed. Oh, and I was working in China on my own, no meetings, Chongqing, 30 million people in Chongqing. The bank balance is going through the roof. Russell, we're getting loads. I've got enough. Where's my spiritual principles here? I was stressed, and I'm sitting in the 19 years at that point. I was clean and sober with my life kind of in 29. I didn't want to live. At 49, I didn't want to die, and I'm crying like a baby. What are you doing? From my workaholic kind of mental, I've got my dad in my back. You are lazy. You are go and do a job. And so since I've come back from China in 2018, I've got a very healthy work-life balance now, and I get on the golf course at least once a week, and I chill and I do a bit of punditry, and it is inside of you now, Russell. You're seeing that. You're seeing a man that's hopefully carrying the message. I'm carrying the message in all that I do now. It's gone in there, and then when it's down there, and then once it's down there, you just have to keep refreshing it now and again and talking about it. But it's inside of me now. It's just an absolute blessing that I'm not going to throw away. It's just absolutely beautiful. So I can go on to those things and be free, because I'm not there because of the money. I'm not there because I want Arsenal to beat Tottenham. I'm not there because West Ham's rubbish. I'm not there for anything that I don't like the people. All those kind of resentments. Oh, I'm not going to that show because Roy Keane, I don't like Roy Keane. I'm free of all that. I'm free of all that. I can go there and be me, be honest, and tell my truth, and I've got a lot of experience in the football world that I think sometimes people want to listen to. And it's quite rare in this country. I like doing Premier League productions, actually, because they are to the other territories, 112 territories outside of this country, because this country seems like they all know better than you. But it's funny that, but when I'm working in Azerbaijan and China, they look at you like you're God, like Mr. Adams, we want your knowledge. And in here, they don't want my knowledge, really, to be honest with you. They just want the banter, I think.
Really? Like that's sort of how it changed. Gareth, do you want to, I want Gareth to be able to talk to you, because, we all love you. It's not just in Azerbaijan that you're adored, Tony.
No, I was intrigued by something you were talked about earlier, Tony, about I guess your change in temperament as a player under Wenger. And I just wondered, because often you are cited as one of those players when a team isn't going through a great phase, as Arsenal, I suppose, haven't been over the last few years. And you're often cited by people like Roy Keane and pundits at Sky and BBC, that what Arsenal are lacking is a tough guy, is a leader, is a Tony Adams. And I just wondered, when you're talking about the change in temperament and how you adapted and how you changed and how you learned and evolved, what do you think it is now in the modern game that a team needs or maybe lacks when pundits such as your Souness's and Keanes are talking about they just need a tough guy to get hold of everyone?
And say about United and Arsenal.
Yeah, exactly. Like currently at United, it's very much talked about maybe in the old sense of football, like you talked about before Wenger, of you just need to kick up the arse. And I just wondered what you think about the kind of, is it more complex than that these days, and the way that the game has changed, and what you think is needed at struggling teams in terms of leadership of captains and players like yourself?
Wow, that's a lot of questions in there, Gareth.
Sorry, Tony.
Oh, my God. Well, I'll be here all day saying that. I think sometimes punditry and stuff's a little bit a weird kind of industry as well. I don't actually. I actually go and make a cup of tea, to be honest with you. It's not for me. And I think we're getting to the stage, the new world. All my kids, I've got 6 kids, and they're all on 2 screens now. They're all on 2, and they want to listen to what they want to listen to. They don't want to listen. It's us old guys, I think, that still listening to Graham Souness and Roy Keane and stuff. I think the new kids today, they want to speak to Mike Owen or something. They want to know. I think there's a new wave of online punditry that's going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years. But that's neither here or there. We're talking about leaders. This game's about players. And, I was very fortunate to play with some incredible players. And Arsenal, if you just talk about Arsenal, I was part of 2 ways you get players. 2 ways you recruit them, you buy them in, or you develop them through your academy. So Arsenal, looking at the success they've had from when I kind of went in there to, after the Invincibles, 2004 to 2087 to 2004 type of stuff. The first successes, 89, 91, European Cup Winners' Cup, the first 6 kind of trophies are born out of the class of 83. Okay, so it happened twice in the history of football. Okay, class of 92, Man United, 6 internationals in their youth team. Class of 83, 6 internationals in the Arsenal youth team. Dave Rocastle, Michael Thomas, Noel Quinn, Paul Merson, Martin Keown and myself. 6 kids there that went on to be future internationals. We were like kids all together. We used 17 players to win in 89, hence the shirt. 17 players. 12 English, 11 English, 2 Irish, and we were all mates. I went to the Lyceum with Rocky, and Michael Thomas, we were like jazz funk soul kids in 79 and stuff. We were all mates. So we won in 89, 91. And then the second period is when the club was going a little bit of a tricky, which coincided with my drinking, to be honest with you. Because I always tell people this. We won the league in 91, but became a very good cup team because the captain was getting drunk quite a bit. And it's not very good to win league titles. You can get up for the cup games, European Cup Winners' Cup, done the double cup, 92, 93, League Cup, FA Cup, because you can get up for 6 FA Cup games. But to try and do 42, the physical... it's just blowing my mind, So we didn't win the league again until I sobered up in 98. But there was a guy that came into the club, a director, a guy called Daniel Fisman, that invested 50 million into the club in 96. It was like Abramovich, I suppose, or the Man City boys. It took us to the next level. So Dennis Bergkamp came in, David Platt came in, Patrick Vieira, all these massive players. So we recruited really well. Steve Rowley was a scout. Arson, untapped French market, but we had the money to bring my salary trebled. So I wasn't. Alex Ferguson was on the phone every 2 minutes at that stage in 96 when we hadn't won the league for 5 years. Come up to United, come up. We're going to win the league. And I was like, whoa. I went in to see the chairman of Arsenal Football Club. Who would have done that? Club captain goes and see the owner of the club. So, Peter, come on, Mr. Chairman. Are we going to win success here? He said, yes, Danny's coming into the club. We're going to get the money. We're going to get some big players. And we went and won the league in 98, 2002, Invincibles. You bring some... So it's all about players. And what they're talking about, leaders, I think at that stage is what I did do to go to the next level. I think we lagged foundations. So it's okay getting players into the club. But if you're not on the same page... you can start being a Barcelona and stuff at their worst, or Real Madrid's when they just buy players for the sake of buying. If you haven't got the principles in place already and the foundations, which we had from the class of 83, because we all had grown up in Arsenal Football Club and we all knew what we needed to do, it was the foundations. And I just reminded everybody, and I passed it on to Patrick. When I said, look, Patrick, these are the stuff that you have to look for. If Sylvain Wiltord, one of the best strikers I've ever played with, arguably better than Wrighty at scoring, World Cup winner, and amazing player, kept getting EasyJet back on Sunday night, ready for training on the Monday. And he was forever coming in late again. He's another late guy. And I said, look, Patrick, you just need to pull him to one side and say, can we help you with anything? Maybe we'll remind him that he's, maybe should get on a Sunday night plane instead of the Monday night, early morning one. So, I think I changed as well. I'll shut up.
No. What I wanted to say is, when you hear someone with your depth and breadth of experience in the game, and also from my perspective in recovery, it makes you realise that for the point of this podcast, in a way, was to talk about the elegant and beautiful and funny things about football, but always reaching for the idea that it's a spiritual game. There's something, it's about spirit. It's about, why are some managers successful? They can conjure up an energy, a power. And how you said that is if there is no spirit, if there's no cohesive sense of this is who we are, this is what we believe in. We chatted to Carl Cole last week and he said, what is happening at West Ham? And he goes, from the under-16s through the under-18s, everyone's working hard. Everyone knows they've got to run, they've got to work. It's a team, it's a cohesive unit. There's a sort of a belief. These are all spiritual ideas.
Principles, I think, is an important word.
Principles, isn't it? Because you think that everything's about economics, it's about commerce, it's about getting the sponsorship, about getting the money, and they're all earning so much and all that. But behind it really is something very powerful and beautiful. And look at what happened with that, that Super League stuff. Is it offends people because the fans of the game feel like this is ours. This is it's in their hearts. It's stitched in your relationship with family members. It's in you deep, And I love hearing. That's what I like. Hearing is about there's something real there. It's not just about metrics, although of course that's important, and it's not just about money or power or the individual, because you were saying no, it's not like they need some sort of a Tony Adams, Vieira, Declan Rice. It's not like they need some sort of powerhouse, strident, potent force, although it's never does any harm, but they need a cohesive sense of togetherness and sort of oneness, unity.
100%.
Yeah,
100%. And there's technical stuff that the coach can do as well, and Arteta has done that, to be honest with you. It's been a real... He used to change, and Arsene did it as well, and I used to go mad. And defensively, he's been rotating his defence time after time after time. And it's the first time since I spoke to him ages ago, that he's actually left them in place. He's left the goalkeeper, because Roy Hodgson always used to say to me, he said, look, Tony, sometimes you never change a losing team. You talk about this, you never change a winning team. He said, sometimes they're your best players. They're your best players. And sometimes it doesn't work for your best players. So all of a sudden you lose a game and you think, oh my God, them players are rubbish. But no, they're not. It's the best players that you've done. You've put them on there. You put them for a reason. So you just got to work with them then and make them better. But don't keep rotating them. And the essence of the what's been lost is a general principle about recruitment. You always buy someone that's better than the one that you've got. Put it number one. And we always used to recruit on attitude first and not technique. We always did. And Arsene went away from that in the early noughties. He actually went away from that and he looked for combination plays. And I just went, no. We always had the principle. And he's talking about principle of first things first, you sit down with them, you look them in the eye and say, do you want to play for the Arsenal? You want to play for the Arsenal? It's a different club. I've been over West Ham. I've kicked the ball in Chadwell Heath a million times, It's not the Arsenal.
Well, listen, you're not going to get much sympathy from me, Tony, or from the league table on that point.
But it's not about... I could have quite easily installed the same principles into the Hammers, and it looks like that David Moyes is a very spiritual man as well, and very calm man, and he's got some good foundations. And at the end of the day, the best players will win the league, so it won't be the Hammers. Because you're getting
worse and worse.
He's getting the best out of that group of players with the set of principles that he's got. They've all bought into that.
Who's going to win then? Chelsea?
I said that they would win at the beginning of the season. So I said it's very difficult to retain the title. His history proves that. Every trophy that I ever won, we could never do it. There's just a psychological fallout the next season for some reason. And a go again, you've gone, got the trophy. There's there's an instant kind of relax, I think, process. And to get up again is incredibly difficult, even when you've got the amount of players that Man City's got, even when Liverpool and stuff. It's incredibly difficult. Players get injured, they take restful periods. It's very difficult to win back-to-back seasons. So I think it'll be Chelsea. That's the team that I've gone for, unfortunately. Yeah. No one likes them.
Tony, that's so lovely. Thank you so much for your time, mate. I'd love to. We'll stay in touch. There's so many things that you've touched upon that I'd love to talk to you in about more depth on a personal level. And you've been such a wonderful benefit and boon to our sport, to our country. You're fantastic. Thanks, Tony Adams.
God bless you, mate.
God bless you, and I'll give you a
Nice to
shout.
meet you, Gareth.
Lovely to meet you, Tony. Thanks so much.
See ya.
I think I answered your question.
You did. You did.
It was complex.
Oh, you got us!
Irons. Thanks, Tony.
Have a great day.
Cheers, mate. See you. Bye-bye. Oh, there we go. We're getting better at our podcast.
It appears so. Is it that, or are we just getting really good guests?
Oh, yeah, it's the guests.
He was magnificent.
Yeah, that's a sort of we've been on a ride there with Tony Adams.
I feel emotional. I mean, I have done.
What emotions has it brought up?
He's
Is the emotion I love Tony Adams?
I think it's incredible to see. I mean, I don't want to get all soft, but it is incredible to see someone so kind of honest. I think that's the thing that you get often from people in recovery, and I've obviously experienced a lot through things that you talk about, Ross, and the kind of people that you've spoken to and interviewed, is that there's an honesty about who you are and what you want from the world. And I really liked what he said about going on Sky. And there's something that you said to me a few years ago about, and that I do think about every so often when I'm thinking about even whether to pipe up in meetings or not, which is about think of what you have to offer any given situation rather than what it brings to what it gives you, what you get out of it. And I think that's exactly what Tony Adams does in his punditry. Like when he was talking about facing being in a room with like Roy Keane and Souness, is you got from him a completely different vibe, a vibe of someone who wasn't just trying to make their point for a point's sake, who didn't have a kind of agenda, who wasn't trying to follow a kind of narrative that the program was coming up with, just a kind of a lightness and it was so refreshing to watch. And obviously, like the point he made before, he's almost above. He's above it all. He's not involved in it.
Isn't that what the spiritual life really is? Is that you above it, not in a condescending way, but it's just like my life can't be defined by these things. It can't be defined by in this moment. All I care about is making my point. All I care about, and I'll do anything. I don't care who I hurt or whatever, or making that money or getting that objective. The challenge is that for me at least, is like I go back and forth. It's like when I'm like really the first thing I should think whenever I'm agitated is, are you trying to get something here? Yeah. Are you trying to be in control of a situation? Are you thinking you're going to get more money, more power, approval, whatever? What is it you think you want? And like the principles of recovery is you're here to be of service. Like, so you've really ain't got nothing to worry about, have you? Other than, am I being of service? Yep. But that's so at odds with the way that we live and the way that we're trained that you sort of, it's pretty hard sometimes to find that line.
Yeah, you get dragged back so easily. And listening to Tony Adams then made me think about how beneficial it must be for you. And, I don't want to go into too many details, but I know you go to meetings regularly and that it's a really important part of your life. And I can see when something like that happens, and I see that because I don't go to meetings, but because I haven't had issues in the past. But when I hear someone like Tony Adams talking, I think, God, that would be useful for everyone. Yeah. Because it reframes life. It recontextualizes life and what's important in life. And that's why I took so much from it, because with someone who doesn't have experience of going to meetings, to almost kind of hear the kind of stuff that I imagine is talked about in meetings is really useful. And it's refreshing. Like, how do you, because all the time, like in a context of a 12-step recovery program, if someone comes to you, like either you're going to someone, like if it's me and I'm having a problem, I'll go to a person that I can turn to and go, I'm feeling these feelings and this is what I want, and you sort of tell them completely honestly what it is you feel, because you don't know the answer at that point. And then they go,
go, well, have you looked at it this way? What about what that person's going through and da-da-da, and, you know, do you really think that it's worth the, you know, and then when it's someone coming to me, it become a bit there, like, well, the people I, like, work the program with, they're all in different walks of life, and they'll come in and say, this person's done this, and they've said this, and, like, and I talk to them, like, go, right, on the level of just your mate, I reckon what they've done was well out of order and I'm on your side. But from a principle of recovery, to tell you the truth, it's not really any of your business if they do that, and you should let go. You know what I mean? So it's sort of, you're constantly reassessing it. Now, the obvious challenge is, because obviously you know me and everyone in this room works with me, and my work environment is one of the areas where I'm most challenged, because I'm feeling like, well, I've got these obligations, I want to do this. You know, and it's not easy to not have the ego involved and desire and all of those sort of things. It's like you're given a bit of a free pass around that. So yeah, I guess that's why you have to continually work it. And it's like, I loved that when he dropped onto that level of, like, you know, even though he was being somewhat discreet, like about Roy Keane or Wenger or whatever, because it's like, oh no, yeah, you like, and part of what we're doing on this podcast in our own way is we're trying to, how do you talk about sport from both a funny perspective but also from a kind of, what is it really? Yeah. What is it really though? Why is it we care?
Yeah, exactly. Why does so many people care?
Yeah.
Because and even then what he was saying, because, you know, increasingly football can get dismissed, and the stats prove it. You know, the clubs who spend the most money tend to win the league. It is the way it is, other than West Ham this year, of course.
Very unique situation.
But it is dismissed as simply a kind of corporate machine. But again, it's when you hear things like that from Carlton Cole last week, Tony Adams this week, you realise no, it can't function just with the money. It needs the spirit, it needs the principles as well.
The economic ideology is a sort of a suffix, or is sort of mapped onto it. Like you could say the same with movies or music or anything. It's like music. Oh, it's this communicative tool that's beautiful and conjures emotions that are beyond language and all that. But it's also this industry that's got all these various strata within it and systems and hierarchies and pyramids, and gets simplified. And movies, it's about stories and archetypes and narratives, but in the end you end up with films that are, you know, I went to the cinema with the children the other day, and I felt like, oh my god, this environment, it's one of them cinemas that had next to it an arcade. You know what I mean? Yeah. And like, it was like, oh god, it was so, like, we went in there and like, I didn't even know, I was so overstimulated, I didn't know what to do. Like, I had to put a credit card in the machine to get coins out so they can use them. You have to still, and then I was playing this game with my 3-year-old and 5-year-old where you shoot zombies in the head with an arrow. Like, I mean, it was like, oh my god, this is like, it's so overstimulating. And like, we're not dealing with, like, even the experience of being with your family gets, you know, it's my choice. No one forced me to go to the cinema. I could have gone and wandered around in a park or done something else. I know, but like, it's weird how where that energy ends up going is into the toolkit of a system that's, you know, I watched the film Boss Baby 2. I don't know what I expected, but like, it was like, you know, there are some things that are imaginative and joyful, but it's like also a bit like, oh god, I'm just this this sort of it being inundated with bizarrely overstimulating mad stuff.
Yeah.
Football is nice.
It's time-wise, you have 5 minutes till midday if you have things on at midday.
How can that be, Jen? How can this have happened to us when we've given ourselves so freely?
Do you really want to know?
We spoke to Tony Adams for so long.
And we started 35 minutes late.
Oh my god, and that's my fault. I'm the new Ian Wright. I was going around the what was it? What was the problem? Was it the M40 for Ian Wright or the M20? It was a particular road. Ian Wright won't be happy.
I love hearing that about Ian Wright.
And then we'll change, start training later.
That's the joy of Wright, isn't he? He's mischievous. He always has been, and he remains so.
He's so mischievous, and but like we won't question his tardiness, because I get the idea you don't like it. All right, so hold on, we've got a few things. Let's do we started the breakdown. You don't need to play the jingle. I'll just tell you all of the things that I've observed, and you tell me the things you've observed. We'll mention a few of the things that we've been sent in. A lovely review from Splendid. This is my go-to football podcast. It genuinely makes me laugh out loud. The dialogue from Russell is so brilliantly ridiculous. See, that's what people are saying, Jen. What I like about this podcast is this. Says football is nicer than nice. Oh, she says Russell's laugh when he finds something Gareth says to be funny. Jenny's quiet interruptions. The references I find confusing. That's from someone called Liag X, I think. So there you go. That's just some of those things. Remember, we've got questions as well. Hold on, where are those questions as well? Look at me, I'm doing all the items. I'm sort of jamming it in.
Was this the question we put up on Twitter?
On Twitter we put up, it's officially sack season in the Premier League. Have you ever been sacked, let go, disowned or dumped? Because like in the world of football, who's been sacked this week? Farker.
Yep.
He's gone. Who else got sacked?
Smith. Villa.
Which was surprising. Will that mean our Foo Fighter friend will go?
I think he's gone as well, yeah. I think
he's took his Foo Fighter with him.
I think so.
I'm out of here and I'm taking my Foo Fighter with me, and we don't know who's coming in yet, whether it's going to be Gerrard or Lampard or some other England midfielder.
Well, apparently Lampard's talking to. I mean, at time of recording, apparently Lampard is talking to Norwich. But now that the Villa post is open, they're saying Villa, Gerrard to Villa, or possibly Martinez. I mean, the point that was made on the podcast I listened to was who are Villa going to get that's going to be an upgrade on D. Smith. You know, and you know, you can look at the Spurs situation as an example. It's like Nuno's gone, they've replaced him with Conte. It's a
improvement.
It's an upgrade, you would say, certainly in terms of their careers to date. But will Villa manage to do the same thing?
I heard there's a new mentality at clubs now. It's like you don't, like in the old days, it was like you'd sack someone when it was like as a last resort. They called it the incumbency principle. Like leave the person in unless it's really important. But now, if someone becomes available, get shot. If you've got an option to upgrade.
Right. So you're suggesting they've got someone in mind.
Well, that's what I read in this article in The Athletic, that you should, if someone comes available, like when United, United not getting Conte, was that a mistake? Have they got some plan for Pochettino? Have they got some plan for Zidane or something? Or I don't know, Yeah. That's what that said. Anyway, like talking about sackety sacks.
Yep.
Richard on YouTube goes, I was lying in bed one morning and thinking about Gary Megson.
As you do.
That's what I think about. When my partner Molly started putting the move on me, everything was moving in the right direction until I accidentally whispered Megson in her ear instead of Molly. I was left unconsummated and the relationship was annulled.
That's amazing.
Megson. The thing is as well with Megson is it's a surname, and you wouldn't call someone, a woman, Megson unless she was called Meg.
Yeah. He doesn't inspire erotica, I would say, Gary Megson.
I can't think of a football manager who does. Guardiola.
Oh, come on. Guardiola.
Klopp.
I thought you liked Klopp.
Klopp. My wife does look a bit like Klopp, but I've never gone.
You keep saying that.
Klopp.
Yeah, I think Guardiola's got a sexiness. Early Mourinho.
Early Mourinho for sure. Yeah.
So it does exist.
And Foo Fighter, he's sexy in his way.
Yeah.
Arteta, or is it that? Would you like to get to Arteta's scalp, like to go to Arteta and like part his hair?
I don't think it's ever going to happen.
I'd like to look at the density. I'd like to see the follicles. I'd like to get my thumbs down into Arteta's scalp and just like look at that.
I'm so jealous of his follicles.
Density. To have that kind of natural root lift.
That man,
he's like a doormat, his head.
Yep.
Isn't it? Like you could brush your boots on that. When they come in at half time, if it was the old day, they could get the studs and scrub it into Arteta's head.
Yeah.
And they'd be sparkling.
Maybe
like
that's the reason for the form turnaround.
Okay, from now on we can scrub your studs in my beautiful thick lustrous. Hey! Come on, we're in this together, like Mr. Adams says. Yeah.
Yeah, it's brilliant hair though. He'll die like that, won't he, with that hair?
Jay on it, yeah.
Sorry. He will though. He's one of those people who'll die with that hair.
Die with thick hair. That's never coming off.
No.
Yeah, I'd like that. Because with a hair transplant, you take bits from the back and you sort of put them in little plug sockets around the area where you want them. Arteta, there's no point.
No.
But sadly, you can't get some of Arteta's hair and plug it into your own head.
I'd sign up for that straight away.
Arteta, if you've got a few follicles you don't need there.
Send them over.
Gareth, you've loads of hair.
I want Arteta's hair.
We want more.
You have really thick hair.
And why are you not saying I've got really thick hair?
But your hair's longer, so it kind of comes down. His goes up.
I want mine going up. I want Arteta's hair.
You've got to cut it for it to go up, Ross.
All right.
You'll never do that.
I won't do that.
I've been in a room with you and a hairdresser.
It's stressful, isn't it?
It really is.
Well, I don't want to. Jay on Instagram, it's not really a sacking, but I was told off for listening to Football Is Nice whilst at work.
What?
We get told off while making Football Is Nice by Jenny, participant in Football Is Nice.
Pretty much everyone who works here.
My breakfasts are here, and I'm not eating them out of sheer professionalism. I want my 2 stars, person who wrote that.
Well done.
Damon Conlon on Twitter. I got relegated from happiness because I support Walsall.
That's great.
Nice. Jam on YouTube. I texted a coach off Gumtree to ask if I could train with him. He responded the next morning saying, texted me at 2 a.m. No thanks, mate. He made a decision on you based on that. Monkey So Funky on Instagram. Yeah, I got put in a sack once at junior football training. Bastards tried to seal it too. Kristen on YouTube. My dad was sacked for a scuffle that started as a debate about the greatness of Les Ferdinand's career. Being a QPR fan, he weren't going to stand for any slander of Sir Les. I don't think Dad liked the bloke, to be honest. A bit of a powder keg scenario.
Wow, he got sacked for that.
Sacked for for standing up for Les Ferdinand. Sarah on Instagram, I dumped football for a boyfriend. Victor on Instagram, I've had to mentally sack people from positions of friendship due to the Messi-Ronaldo debate. Whose side are you on, and where do you stand on this?
Good question.
Yeah.
Good way of turning sacks into personal stories.
Nice. That's a way of doing it. Yeah. When Match of the Day 2 was introduced, they had Micah Richards and they had Ashley Williams, and they showed a footage of them two sort of having a fight.
Yeah.
They approached it in a light-hearted way, but I thought, is the fighty side of football going to be brought to the forefront in punditry? Because sometimes when that's considered an abomination, isn't it? A scuffle.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, hey, when people are pulling each other around. Like, say, like how you don't show streakers, as we discussed on an episode.
What Tony Adams would say about the old fights in football.
Should you show clips between pundits fighting?
Have you seen this has gone on for ages, but something I just thought again in my mind. Match of the Day 2, they don't put the games on in the title sequence, do they?
Why?
I think it's because often there's only one or two, so they think, oh, that looks a bit daft.
Stupid, one or two.
But when there's 4, I think, why don't you do it for 4?
All right, here's my observations, all of them, Gal. Get your observations ready.
Good.
How do you change notes with a bugle? Because I couldn't see where the buttons were, and is it hard? When they were doing the last post, because it's Remembrance Day.
You do it with your lips.
You're doing all that with your lips?
Your embouchure, yeah.
Your embouchure?
Embouchure.
Is that little reed?
No.
Who's embouchure? Isn't that a person who runs the town, the ombudsman?
No.
Isn't that the weekend edition of EastEnders, the omnibus?
That's the technique. That's what you're employing to play whatever brass instrument you're playing. You do it with the strength of your lips. So
lip strength.
So I mean, I'll only talk about this because obviously I do play the French horn. But when the French horn first was invented, and it wasn't called the French horn.
What was it called?
It was just I guess it was just called the horn. And there were no valves. The valves were or buttons, as people think. They're a kind of relatively modern invention for that instrument. Same with the bugle and the modern trumpet. So they're
not didgeridoo, Jen. Don't bring that.
Have any buttons.
It's not brass.
Notes.
Well, it's the same principle.
See?
It's the same principle.
Oh, Jenny was right there.
In that you're able to manipulate the notes just using kind of different strengths within.
With your ombudsman.
With the embouchure, yeah.
How do you use your mouth? Can you do an impression of it now?
It's not great when you hear it without the actual instrument in front of you, but it's something like this. It's something like this. It's like that. I mean,
it's actually quite hard.
Well, exactly. Because
you can't press them together.
Yeah.
How do you like my embouchure, baby? Do you find that this has a crossover in certain areas of erotic? No. The next observation. That was my observation about the bugle.
Yeah. Did you enjoy hearing that at the start of the football?
I did actually, yeah. And I like seeing Trevor Brooking do a poem. Yeah. I can't remember who it was. They stay in the memory for all time, someone said. That is not true. That can't be done. Because you can't keep something in the memory for all time because, of course, ultimately the species will end. And even the memory, think of all the things that, like, what about people that died in sort of wars, like in the advancement of the Macedonian Empire under Alexander? Compared to all time, that's a blink of an eye ago, and we don't remember them at all.
No.
So that's just a cold, hard dose of reality there. That brick wall at Old Trafford, it's getting on my nerves.
Why?
Well, it's just in a stupid place. It's right in the middle. They come out of a tunnel in the corner. That's wrong. There's some serious feng shui required at the Theatre of Dreams.
That's the real issue.
They've got that like wall there, like it's like at the Improv, like, you know what I mean? When you see stand up there with a Red Devil badge in the middle. Yeah. I think that brick wall is part of the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah? Ollie says in his punditry after, I think, the City game, I don't have a magic wand. Right?
Yeah.
But then Preps is think about keeping things in the fridge.
Yes, keeping the ball in the fridge.
They're using, even in their system of metaphors, Ole's gone for a cliche.
Yes.
Pep's gone for something unusual.
Well, doesn't that say everything?
That does. Says it all there.
Pioneering new football techniques, but also new expressions as well.
Yeah, that's what he's at the vanguard. Have you got some observations?
Not really. No,
observations.
Well, I've got a few.
You've not observed anything.
I thought about a new format for my observations.
Go on.
Which I'm not going to do lots, Jen, don't worry.
No, we don't have time anyway.
No, I thought in future I might do good week, bad week in a kind of, I know.
Why do you want to turn everything into
a
cliche?
Good week, bad week.
Yeah.
For your predictions.
A nice way of doing a summary of what happened during the weekend.
Go on then. Good week, bad week with Gareth Roy.
Good week. David Moyes obviously covered that. João Cancelo, Man City, had a fantastic week and he's looking every inch the
That's not
£60
an
million
observation.
player. No, these are good week, bad week.
I don't like good week, bad
All
week.
right,
Just saying
observation.
something's good, something's bad. It's not some weird little detail.
There are 2 Armstrongs playing at Southampton.
Too many.
Is that confusing?
Get rid of one
Is that good or bad?
Armstrong.
That's an observation.
Oh, so it doesn't go into good week.
Well,
bad.
'cause he
Doesn't
had
even fit in good week, bad
He
week.
had a go at it.
I really stamped on his new
He had a go at
format.
it. Good week, Emil Smith-Rowe. Scored, England call-up.
Well done, Emil Smith-Rowe.
Good week for the concept of ageing.
Because of the elderly. Why?
Because of the elderly Ben Foster.
Did he do well?
Well, despite losing 1-0, he pulled off some wonderful saves.
I don't think that's a very good week.
Well,
they lost.
saved a penalty for a start.
Good week.
And pulled off some absolute... So, for all of us, he's 38 years old, Ben Foster, and we've interviewed him, and he's lovely.
Yep.
Life,
He said that thing.
life in the elderly yet.
Fair enough. Good week. All right. I've got some other observations that are more. Jamie Carragher.
I've got one more.
All right. Go on.
Is Conor Gallagher of Crystal Palace the new Princess Diana?
He is, isn't he? He
Yeah.
is the new Diana because he's got lovely hair, and we need to see him in a face mask, which is possible now because of the pandemic, looking off to the side,
Yeah,
like when Diana done that. Remember that? She looked off to the
that's
side
right.
in that face
I think
mask.
he could do it.
We need to
There's
see
obviously
him.
a Palace pun in there as well.
We need to see him in a well done. We need to see him in a diaphanous frock, like photographed, and just see his legs, and possibly if he's not wearing underwear, the outline of his testicles and penis.
Why
And, like,
not?
as he stands outside as he's on the eve of marrying Prince Charles.
Yeah, we need to see
Then
that.
we can know for sure. Carragher, the new Diana Spencer. Possible, isn't it?
Yeah, it is possible. Did Daniel Farker know he was getting sacked in his post-match interview on
Did he
Match of the
seem
Day?
sad?
Yes, he did.
Oh.
He seemed sad to me. And because I was watching it through a lens of Daniel Farker has been sacked,
Because you knew already.
'Cause you knew.
You've gone back time.
because this is Match of the Day. And
Yeah.
then the whole time I was thinking, does he know? Because they must have... Do you reckon they told him before?
It's like when you're getting, like, look, when someone chucks you out of a relationship, sometimes you have a feeling it's coming, and
Yeah.
other times it's out of the blue.
Yes.
Jenny nodded there. Now, what do you have that feeling, Jen?
Well, no, I just when I broke up with someone. Not the other. You thought it was the other way
can't
around.
always be like that, Jen. Jen, what do you call a hat that's got like
What
a
is going
bobble on? If you see a hat and there's a bobble on the top of that hat, what do you call that hat?
Bubble hat.
Nice to know. Okay. People are using the phrase "down the goalkeeper's throat" too often, like in commentary. It's right down the goalkeeper's throat,
Right.
for meaning straight at the goalkeeper.
Straight at him.
Why down at his throat?
I
It's too disgusting,
okay, right.
don't you think?
Yeah.
Straight down his
I've
gag hole.
I've not questioned it before.
Have a look at it. You'll see it now. It's on the rise.
Should Sean Dyche be called the Ginger Mourinho like he's been dubbed previously by Burnley fans?
Ginginero. Yes, I think he should be called that. I like that very much. I like the ginger because remember, of course, at West Ham, the ginger Pele
Yeah.
was
James Collins.
Thank you, James Collins.
I met him
Ginge,
once at Liverpool Street.
Oh yeah, did you talk to him?
Yeah, because he remembered me from you because we met him together, and then he passed me, and I went, James Collins. He went, oh, Russell's mate. I was like, yes, and he was wearing like a flat cap.
Did he have his big beard?
He didn't have a big beard at the time.
The ginger version of people is a good thing, and I think the ginger Mourinho is good. There's a really good bit in Klopp in his analysis after the West Ham game. Like he said, he goes, I think there were moments where we lost patience, and then like someone sort of the interviewer goes, like, do you think that we were sort of rash? He goes, rash. He didn't understand
That's right.
this term rash. Rash. He was in a bad mood because of the result.
Yeah, it's
Rash.
because Van Dijk had used the word.
We were rash at
Yeah.
times because Van Dijk's Dutch. They speak English better than Germans, generally speaking.
Oh, careful.
The Dutch are the best English speakers in the world, other than us sons of the soil from Lady Blighty herself. Anyway, so like he went, like, so he goes, look, what is rash?
Yeah.
And he goes, well, it just means, maybe he goes, well, I said the thing about impatience, didn't I? So,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
really like the speed of Klopp's mind.
Yeah.
And his frustration
Yeah.
and his irritation at having something pointed out to him that was unnecessary.
It was unnecessary.
At a point when he'd covered it and was already in a bad mood.
Yeah, and I remember thinking that the pundit or
Yeah, the interviewer.
interviewer didn't give a decent enough description of what rash meant.
Yeah.
I remember thinking, well, if you're going to use that word, be able to tell him what it means.
You don't know, but he was rash.
He was rash.
Does it come from irrational?
I don't know if it does, but that's a good way of describing it to Klopp.
Yeah.
If Klopp comes on, we'll cover him up on that.
Yeah.
All right. I didn't like the phrase "meat of his boot" being used to describe Aaron Creswell's again Jamie Carragher. Excuse me.
All right. I like these.
Meat of his boot. You like meat of his boot and down throat. Everyone's getting very visceral, I suppose.
Yeah, but I like hearing these football expressions that players use.
Meat of his boot.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Too many Arsenal managers have connotations of the word Arsenal. Right. Arsene Wenger.
You covered this already.
Obvious one.
Look, I'm going to just cover it because there's an update. Have I covered? You've covered this already. That's nearly all of Arsene. Emery. Too much like Emirates.
Yeah. Good.
Arteta. All right. It's an improvement, but it's still the AR.
Good.
Let's work this out, Arsenal FC. It crossed my mind that when we had Tony Adams, right? But I thought I ain't got the courage to carry this off with Tony Adams because he will sort of think, why is my time being wasted?
He'd say, I'd prefer to answer one of Gareth's questions.
Let's go, Gareth, and his long rambling question has got about 10 sub-questions in it. I'll do that again. Even at the end, I hope I've answered your question, Gareth. He said goodbye to you. That's a man with a programme right there.
Absolutely.
Polite on top. Who cares what Stockley Park thinks? I'm sick of them Stockley Park over at VAR.
Yeah.
Divock Origi. I've got the same trainers as Klopp. And I didn't like the Rice and Oxlade-Chamberlain cuddled too quickly
at the end
after the game.
There's a lot of criticism when players do that. Like, I would immediately cut that out if I was a player. Like the idea of getting all pally and chuckling when you've lost a game.
But we won, so it wasn't too bad.
It was less bad for Rice, worse for Oxlade-Chamberlain.
Yeah, I think Liverpool fans would be fuming.
You would be, wouldn't you?
And I've got the same trainers as Klopp. Now, that's most of my observations.
Do you want to do the...
gloat over the results?
Yeah.
Right, it's time now for gloat over the results. We should do a jingle for this. Okay,
gloat
so
over the
results. Actual score of Southampton versus Villa was 1-0. I predicted it correctly, didn't I? Yeah, I got a point from that. Although, Jenny, this is confusing.
Oh, did I do it wrong?
Well, it looks wrong but yeah. Did Southampton win that? I can't remember how that game went. They must have done.
They won 1-0. Yeah, that is right. What says actual there? That is right.
So, Jen, you've given me a point that I didn't deserve there, Jen. So, I mean, this could affect the whole table.
It really could, Jen.
Jen. Don't worry, Jen. Part of Jen's job has become analysing a fictional league between three people.
If you need me to take over, I could do it.
No way, Gal. You're corrupt. You got a point. Do we need to go through this? I mean, basically, the real news is...
I got 2 points.
Jen got 2 points, and I got about 9 points because I'm so great. Now, let's look.
No.
What, you want to contest that? You want a tribunal?
Hang on. How did you get... No, 8. So you got 2 3-pointers. Yeah, so that's 6
and some
already.
results. And Gal, whereas you got a mere 2.
Yeah, you got the same as me.
And Jen got a 2. So Russell's really closed the gap is the basic news because I predicted...
What's the table looking like?
The table's looking good. Russell's... it's just 3 points behind you now, Gal. I'm closing in on you.
My God, you're a win away.
I'm a 1 win away. But Gal, you know, football is nice league table of predicting the future. That's what Jenny's called it. Football is nice league table of predicting the future. So
I had an idea this week.
Go on.
What if now
Yeah.
we say it's worth 20 points or 10 points, something big, to predict the title winner? So at the end of the season, there's always that potential.
That you could have a sudden...
Is this because you're nervous of Russell?
Yes, it is that.
Okay.
All right, I don't mind. Who do you think's going to win it?
Yeah, say it now.
I'm going to say Chelsea.
Yeah, but I think Chelsea, so it's nullified.
That's fine then, but that's fine. What, we're all saying Chelsea?
Well, I have to.
Oh.
Because Tony Adams said it.
Oh, right. It's all over then. Well, maybe I'll say someone different. I'll say Man City then.
Okay.
So you're saying Chelsea.
Yeah.
I'll say Man City. Jen?
Who should I choose?
I'm saying a little club by the name of West Ham.
Oh, yeah, you can't choose Chelsea because you always choose West Ham.
Ooh.
Yep, I do have to. Look, I think we have to stop because
Yeah,
people
we
are
do.
coming and I want my breakfasts.
Let's stop now.
It's breakfast time. Thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you for participating. I hope you've enjoyed this wonderful episode of Football is Nice with Tony Adams. I think it was a weird and interesting and strange episode.
It was.
Don't know what clip Jen will use. Maybe the bobble hat. I don't know. I don't know where she's going to go.
Oh, yeah, it could be the bobble hat.
Well,
I want to know who likes me.
Oh,
Jen, you're always
as you know, I do a lot.
desperate.
I do a lot of work with
I'm
them.
lonely.
I do a lot. I do a lot of work with the mentally ill. Now, some of them like you. No, it's like a mate.
Yeah, a
of
lot
mine.
of people do say.
They've got a crush on you.
Yeah, a lot of people
Why don't
say
you say who it is?
you're the best bit.
Thanks.
But they don't know you, Jen.
They
That's
can
the
hear me,
problem.
though.
It's not real you. All right, no, like Jen, you're beautiful and you're a beautiful person, and I want you to be happy, and I don't want you to be lonely.
But you don't trust me being with that person.
I trust you. Oh God, no. But
Is it Steve Coogan?
No, it's one of my mates. Look. But what I think is, Jen, I do want you to be happy, and I want you to be in a happy relationship if that's what you want. All right, and the same goes for everyone. Consider me Tony Adams.
There we go.
Tony Adams.
Let's finish on a Tony Adams.
I want everyone to be happy. The most important thing, even though we're all united here by our work, and I sometimes take it very seriously, really what we're here to do is to serve and spread joy to one another and to the children of the Lord, which I consider to be all of the living people of earth. And we've got to do work on ourselves and make ourselves beautiful and worthy of the precious cosmic gift of life. Now, if that means that Jen has to have a boyfriend, girlfriend, or whatever Jen's into on that particular week, then that's something we must all just jolly well get behind. Frankly, being in a relationship, it couldn't make her work any worse.
What?
How could it? How could it deteriorate? Where would it deteriorate to?
I've done so well.
Unless she actually started to come in here and smash stuff up with a hammer. That's the only way I could imagine. No, yeah, we want happiness. So I had to do some sort of joke or at least comment. All right, thank you very much for joining us on Football is Nice.